So I saw Ant-Man. Hi everyone, I'm Brandon Prosek and this is my review for the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe film. With me today is my special guest Kevin Vekony.
Hello.
If you guys saw my review of Gone Girl, he was also a guest for that. Little link right here if you want to go check that out. So for this portion of the section, we're not going to be doing any spoilers. So if you're worried about us spoiling the film, talking about endings or twists, don't worry about it. Right off the bat, what did you think of Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Kevin?
I thought he was pretty great. He actually stepped pretty good into the role of a hero. You know, I think the movie had a unique aspect of he's kind of a guy who's like kind of questioning all this crazy stuff going on. You know, at one point he's like, wait a second, can I go back to jail? Because he's an ex-con, as you see soon into the movie. And he's just like, this is crazy, I don't want part of this. And that kind of gives him like a different angle than some of the other Marvel heroes. You know, Paul Rudd's good. It's kind of like an everyman, kind of drawn to this crazy world. And he did a good job at that, kind of, you know, being like reacting to all that's going on with him and kind of realizing that it's kind of silly that he has the powers of an ant, but he still goes with it anyways.
Even though he was an ex-con, they made him also intelligent. Masters in electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Kind of be like a MacGyver and make little things into a gadget to solve a problem. And I liked how he wasn't just some guy in a suit. He was intelligent too, he was resourceful. Obviously, he was really funny. What did you think about some of the comedy in this film?
The film is hilarious. There's tons of, I think, you know, the humor is one of the film's strongest points.
And obviously all of Scott Lang's crew with Michael Pena, who was the funniest part of this film.
Oh, you will laugh at Michael Pena's jokes. They're just they're so silly.
If you don't
surprising.
if you don't laugh at Michael Pena in this film, you may just not like things funny.
The shrinking.
Yes.
It was cool. It was unique. Like, they'll turn something that seems like you wouldn't expect it to be epic, but they'll make it like a really fun moment where they'll shrink them to size, and it'll turn like, you know, a faucet sink into a giant flood, and it'll turn like, you know, everyday objects into like big challenges. I think
those are some of the funnest parts, is because although what some general audience people may not know, obviously us comic book nerds know, is that with the smaller he gets, like it's sort of like the stronger he gets. Film has had some controversy when it comes to Edgar Wright. Had been wanting to make this movie since 2006, and because of creative differences stepped away from Marvel, and they ended up having Peyton Reed direct it. So when it comes to the direction, was there anything that you noticed, liked, didn't like?
I could tell like the ghost of Edgar Wright. Could it have been better under Edgar Wright? Sure, but that doesn't make it not great for what it is right now, you know.
But it could have been better. There was just, I'm not sure, and it's hard to judge on these films whether it comes down to the editing or the direction's choice. Just like sometimes there'd be little jokes that were funny, but like it just felt a little off. One thing that's been kind of controversial, or one of the bad things about Marvel, is their villain problem. Now, we all know that, of course, they have Loki, one of the greatest villains, and Ultron I liked, but there's also other villains that weren't quite up to snub.
I have to say, unfortunately, he falls into the like generic bad guy end of things. He gave a good performance, he was evil, but that was about it, I thought. And, you know, I think I would call it like mustache-toyingly evil.
Stoll did the best he could with what he was given. I thought his performance was really great, a lot better than some of the other villains.
He didn't really appear enough in the film. Like, did you feel that like his appearances were brief? I mean, obviously, like towards the end, there's some, you know, climaxes with him and stuff, but like the build-up wasn't there.
I think that has to do with what we talked about being an ensemble film. There's so many characters in this small world that you could only have so many scenes with him. I ask you about, what did you think of Michael Douglas?
I didn't know what to expect with Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, and you know, I'm like, oh, maybe he's basically the basic mentor role, which he is, but he's gonna be one of your favorite mentors ever, because he is equally as funny and cool as Scott Lang himself.
One of the concerns I had before the film was, sure, we have this great actor Michael Douglas, but how much is he really going to try? Is he just doing this film for a paycheck, or does he really give it his all as Hank Pym? And I think we could both agree that he knocked it out of the park. Like, he totally filled that mentor role. You could totally tell that he was this person who tried being a hero before and has seen a lot, done a lot, been through a lot. And when it comes to Evangeline Lilly, there's been love interests, and like, I don't even really want to say love interests, but there's been female supporting roles that have kind of always just been like damsel in distresses. Like Jane Foster in the Thor movies, Natalie Portman's character, or sometimes Pepper Potts in the Iron Man films, where they're just kind of there to be put in trouble for the hero to save them, or to be buddied off as love interests. But what I liked about Evangeline Lilly is they made her character, Hope Van Dyne, a badass. So Kevin, was there any low points that really you think dinged the film for you?
This movie is not Avengers 2 at all, besides the humor. You know, I mean, Marvel movies are always funny, but it feels different. So I think, like...
So did the scaling down sort of hurt it for you? Were you expecting something to be as big as Avengers 2? Or...
I think, like, for me personally, I don't mind that. But I think, like, the general audience member who's expecting, like, you know, a big, you know, explosive film like Avengers, or when they come and see this, it feels different.
Well, it's funny you talk about you did not enjoy the scaling down. I think for me it was kind of a relief. You had Thor 2, which Thor 2, you know, the world was at stake.
Yes.
And then Winter Soldier, the helicarriers, the world was at stake. And then Guardians, the galaxy was at stake.
Talk about scaling things up.
And then Avengers 2, the world's in danger again. And I was afraid that, is every movie going to be just another city demolished? We take a step back. We've seen like how chaotic things can get in Avengers Age of Ultron. But I actually liked Ant-Man better than Age of Ultron because they took time to focus on the characters, the relationships, and the story, opposed to just how many things can we blow up. So yeah, so before we get to, I'm going to do a whole separate video for spoiler talk, but for now we're going to give our ratings. How do you like to rate this?
I usually like to give number ratings, and I would give this an 8.63. A solid
8.63. So yeah, if you guys like to check out, Kevin Vekony also does written reviews for some movies that he sees. I'll put a link to his written review of Ant-Man in the description below. So go read that, check that out as well. Rating from me, it's kind of hard because I knew I was going to love Ant-Man. I love Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And for me, it's kind of hard to pick between my number 1 and number 2 ratings sometimes. And sure, it wasn't their best film, but I have to be honest, I thought it was tremendous, and I'm going to buy it the day it comes out on DVD.
I agree.
And it's funny because I didn't give that review to Age of Ultron, and some people thought that was a little odd, but it just, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I want to watch it on DVD again, and I'm probably going to go see it in theaters for a second time before it's out of theaters. So you should too, because...
Go see it. You'll have a good time.